I thought my dad was coming home from work, um, and he never did. He, it was exciting because he was working all the time.
Oh, hey there. Welcome in. Merry Christmas. I'm glad you're here joining us. Alex, we got a lot to go through today because I woke up this morning and under the tree, I found all of these.
Ooh, are those the gifts my dad left for me? No?
I don't know. But
Okay,
anyway,
okay.
let's not waste any time. Let's open the first one and see what it is.
What is it, Josh?
Santa's sleigh.
Lock your doors. Bolt the windows. And block the chimney. 'Cause naughty or nice, Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa's Sleigh.
Santa's Sleigh, Alex, starring Bill Goldberg from 2005. Now, we actually both watched this movie together back in, middle school, high school? I don't remember the exact time.
Oh, God, over 10 years ago, 12, 13 years ago at this point?
Yeah, late 2000s, early 2010s, somewhere in there. And I only had a vague memory of it from that time, just thinking, oh, it's that weird Christmas movie with Bill Goldberg as Santa. So, watching it again recently, I kind of love this movie.
Me too. It's great. It's hilarious. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it is. It gets in, gets out. It's what, an hour and 17 minutes?
Yeah, crisp.
It's like, listen, it's 2005. It's Bill Goldberg. It's called Santa's Sleigh. We're not gonna bullshit you. And it is funny, like legitimately funny. Probably offensive in some areas, but hilarious.
Yeah, outside of Bill Goldberg, you have a cast of characters who don't give like the best performances here. We're not looking for Oscar-worthy performances. They're all pretty goofy, but they all do a good job of like not taking it too seriously. Especially the grandfather character, I really enjoy.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And Nicholas shot him!
You shot Santa?
He's kind of the one teaching our protagonist about everything that's going on in the movie so that the viewers can understand. And I'm always a fan of that, a good sneaky way to get in exposition where it doesn't have to just be someone saying it directly to you, basically.
Yeah, he's reading that little book, and he has that special, like for no reason, he has this machine that changes the pages for him.
Yeah, and I thought it was like, can they not touch the book? But they do, so I don't know the point.
The kid's just like, give me that.
Yeah, and the idea of the grandpa building like that den fortress thing was pretty hilarious. Just like imagining this old man just building this thing on his own because the whole town thinks he's crazy.
He's been preparing for 1,000 years that Santa's coming back. Because that's the whole premise, right? He has to be good for 1,000 years because he lost a wager against this angel. Because Santa is supposedly evil because he's actually the son of the devil. But this angel comes along, says, let's have a little contest. And it's that game where you slide the ball disc on the ice. And he lost, so 1,000 years being nice, but now it's over.
Yeah, they play on the whole Santa-Satan thing, which is, you know, as a kid, everyone always makes fun of how close the two words are. And I thought Bill Goldberg as a murderous, evil Santa did pretty well. I can't think of any other movie I've ever seen Bill Goldberg act in, but this is the role for him, I think. He did a great job for what the movie needed, and his one-liners were cheesy, but I kind of loved them.
Oh, Grandpa got run over by a reindeer.
Everyone like makes fat jokes about him, and it's Bill
Bill
Goldberg.
Goldberg, he's ripped, yeah.
He's huge. It's like it makes no sense. It's like if you cast anyone else, yeah, but or maybe that's the joke, that the fact that we know it's Bill Goldberg.
Yeah.
He's just this huge muscly guy.
Like at one point, his sleeves like rip off his Santa costume, and he just has jacked arms, obviously.
Possibly the best opening scene to a Christmas movie ever.
Gotta talk about that, yeah.
Veteran actor James Caan. You know, it's a shame that he's known for Elf and not Santa's Sleigh. Santa like comes down the chimney, but then he just bursts through it.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
And we have no context of this family. Why does he go to them first? They're all brutally killed, and it does a great job in that first like 2 minutes just setting them up as such terrible people that you're already rooting for them all to be brutally murdered by him.
Yeah, that's where it's weird, where you think like, okay, he's a good guy then, because he's destroying like the naughty.
I just don't understand. This was obviously before streaming or anything. So I'm sure that straight-to-DVD movies were more popular. This is made by Lionsgate Home Entertainment, which I'm sure doesn't even probably exist anymore because I don't think home entertainment exists anymore. I think everything that doesn't go to theaters just goes to streaming. Maybe there's some stuff out there that goes straight to DVD, but I like doubt it. And I think that for the most part, most people didn't watch these movies anyway, but I think that movies like this are kind of not made anymore because everything either has to be picked up by a streamer or go to theaters.
Yeah, I guess the closest equivalent is that stuff like this exists on Shudder.
Yeah.
I would say Tubi, but Tubi's more trash than this, if you can believe it.
Yeah, Tubi's like, yeah, anybody can put something on there, it seems like. Or Freevee now is starting to make some movies on there.
Oh, God.
So I guess that's the modern equivalent, but I haven't found anything in recent years that is on the level of entertainment I had with Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah, no, and this looks like a movie, too. Like,
Ridiculous, goofy movie, but I highly recommend it.
absolutely. I recommend it as well.
Let's see what Santa got you.
Well, Alex, do you want to open the next one?
I will open the next one. Let's see what we have here. Oh, my God. It's Jingle All the Way.
I work for the post office and I'm unstable. Tell him.
This man is totally insane.
Thank you.
Christmas comes but once a year.
Jingle all the way.
Jingle All the Way is the, I believe, 1996 comedy film starring the Terminator, Sinbad, and Anakin Skywalker. And I watched this movie a ton growing up, but I rewatched it, I'm like, this is bad. But it's a perfect hour and a half, so therefore, it's great.
I watched this for the first time,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, it's not good. But that's not to say that I didn't get some enjoyment out of it. I laughed out loud multiple times during the movie, and not even laughing at the movie, genuinely at the jokes they were making, but it was always the smallest, like, offbeat jokes that weren't supposed to be, like, a huge punchline that just really got me. Like, I love the moment when he goes to, the Santa Claus is like, oh, come here, you're looking for the Turbo Man doll?
That was taken this morning.
It's just like such a stupid joke. It's like, what do they do? Do they do that every day? Like, take a picture with that day's newspaper and him holding the doll? It was like, what the hell was that? Just jokes like that were the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah, it's like those few moments, but then like there's also these cringe moments where like Arnold's like, ooh, doing like like karate, trying to relate with this kid, and it's like,
Arnold does not turn in his best performance here at all, and Jake Lloyd, that's the kid's name, right?
Jake Lloyd, yeah.
Jake Lloyd, man, kid can't catch a break. He's horrendous in this.
Oh, he's terrible.
What would you know about keeping your promises? You never keep your promises, ever!
Yeah, it's like, it's amazing how far children actors have come along, but like Jake Lloyd was like the martyr for like people hating children. I mean, from this and the Phantom Menace, I'm like, no wonder this kid went insane. Why was this Arnold Schwarzenegger? You know what I mean? It's him as like the normal straight man. Like they don't even make a reference that he's huge or that he's Austrian or anything. Like the only reference is that Phil Hartman's character. Like
You can't bench press your way out of this one.
But the entire movie, all you see him is like a winter coat or at most like a baggy pajama shirt. It's like, why was he in this?
My guess is just like that's who they got attached to the film so that they could make it. You know what I mean? Like they were like, oh well, who can we get on the movie? Arnold will do it. Yeah, make the movie for us. You know, that's my guess.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like 1990, like Total Recall was like 6 years before this, and that for me that's like the perfect Arnold movie. But then there's this where it's like I don't know why I like this as a child. I think I just like the Turbo Man stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's like, okay, Turbo Man's like the Spider-Man of this universe. But then you see this parade and you see like the kids' blankets. It's like Captain America, the Infinity Gauntlet is on this kid's pillow. It's like all these other properties still exist, but for some reason Turbo Man is like...
I took it as more of like the route of like a Power Rangers type thing.
Yeah.
It like when you see the TV show earlier on in the movie, it looks like it could be like one of those Japanese like Power Ranger type shows that America just like takes.
Yeah.
And then the parade is hilarious. And by that point, the movie has gone completely into the realm of just like ridiculous, not taking itself serious. So you have like Arnold Schwarzenegger flying through the sky as Turbo Man. And I will say, at first, when he first gets dressed up in the Turbo Man suit, and then they're like, he picks one child who gets this special doll, I was like, oh, this is kind of a lame ending, because like this character didn't do anything to redeem himself. He just like lucked into this situation. But then when Sinbad, as the villain of Turbo Man, shows up and they have that whole battle, I'm like, okay, now this is actually a good ending. Once it took that turn, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, Sinbad is the best part of this film, in my opinion. Like him, like just being like this mailman complaining about like, oh, I gotta get this for my kid, all this shit, and you think he's like being his friend, and then as soon as the opportunity arises, bye-bye, sorry. And then later on, it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, man, I had to. And then when another opportunity arises, he's like, screw you, man. And he's hilarious. And like the entire film, Arnold's just trying to buy his kid's love. Like not earn it, like, because he's just not a deadbeat dad, but all he does is work for like a mattress factory. And like that's like the only thing he's trying to do, is just like, the only way to show that he loves his kid is get this doll, just try to buy his appreciation. And then like at the end, like Jake Lloyd has this weird, like, oh no, you can have it, Sinbad. It's like, I feel like that was kind of out of nowhere.
Jamie, obviously seeing his dad as Turbo Man, even though it's a fake scenario that he will eventually realize he's not really Turbo Man, he sees his dad as Turbo Man, so like to him now his dad's a hero. Turbo Man was like the stand-in because he didn't have that father figure in his life, because his dad was always away at work, never went to events or anything with the family. So he had Turbo Man as his dad, but now his dad
is Turbo.
Literally was Turbo Man, but also showed him that he can be the dad that he needs, so he no longer needs this Turbo Man doll, I think, is what they were going for. But in such a goofy movie, it's like...
Yeah, it was kind of lost to me.
Also, Sinbad's going to jail. I mean,
yeah, this kid's not getting that doll. That doll's being put in possessions.
The evidence,
the evidence, yeah. The kid's not getting that doll.
So Christmas, hey! Back up! This is a homemade explosive device, and I'll blow it up!
Another small moment that made me laugh out loud is Ted. I actually liked the Ted character.
Oh, he's great,
it was pretty funny, yeah. And the moment where he's like telling his wife, Arnold's wife, he's like, oh, go take a shower. I'll take care of the kids.
Pipe down in there!
Like she just left the room a second ago.
Did you recognize a certain wrestler in this?
Big Show.
Big Show!
Yeah, that was cool to see.
Yeah, in the credits, he's Paul the Giant White, because this was 96, right?
WCW, yeah.
But I do like the scene where he gets suited up. He's like, hey, are you the guy? And Arnold goes, huh? He's like, all right. And like the perfect slow reveal, and he's like in the suit.
Yeah, and the suit looked good.
Yeah, it does look good. And Booster's like, wave, you idiot.
Yeah. Oh, Booster. That might be my favorite part of the movie, when the Dementor guy comes in and he's like, everyone hates you, Booster. And he hits him off the thing.
We don't like you, Dad! We hate you!
They're like, we hate you, Booster.
It's like, it was never established why they hate Booster.
Like, everyone made fun of his toy, but it's like, I understand, like, not really caring about him, but to the point of hating him and beating the shit out of him.
This movie's just like a collection of scenes that happen until it gets to the end. And like, and why does Sinbad get in the costume? Did he know Arnold was in the costume when he got in the costume?
You're supposed to just...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I would not recommend this movie, but I do think there was enough funny, absurd humor and random jokes that made me laugh out loud that it was enough for me to enjoy the first watch, but I'll probably never watch it again.
Oh yeah, I watched this so many times growing up, and now I know why the way that I am, because Jesus Christ. This ruined me.
Well, I have a legitimate fear sometimes of going back to watch some of my childhood favorites, because they might not be good at all once you go back and watch them, when you're older. And a lot of them are still pretty good, but yeah, every once in a while you'll go back and rewatch something and go like, oh.
Oh, I was dumb.
What did you get me?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. All right, Alex, let's go on to our next gift here and see what it is.
What did Santa get you this year?
No way. It's Fred Claus.
Vince Vaughn.
Am I having a ball?
Ho, ho, ho. Paul Giamatti.
You need to practice tough love.
I'm a saint, sweetheart. Tough love's a little difficult for me.
Fred Claus.
If you ever wanted to see Paul Giamatti play Santa Claus, I got the film for you. Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite actors. Came out in 2007, so I saw it, in my school-aged years as a young teenager, and thought it was just fine. Didn't think anything of it. But then as I got older and started to appreciate Paul Giamatti more, I remembered, wasn't he Santa Claus once? And I went back and watched Fred Claus, and I'm very mixed on this movie. But what did you think?
So I saw this for the first time for this. I usually avoid Vince Vaughn solo comedies like the plague. I remember seeing trailers for this. I'm like, Fred, this looks so bad. And then I watched this film, and I'm like, I love this movie. Yeah, Vince Vaughn is great in it. Paul Giamatti. You have Kathy Bates. Like, this is like the Leo Pointing meme. Like, everyone's in this movie. A horribly CGI'd Ludacris is in this on a little elf body. Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, he's in there.
He's in this. Yeah,
he's a great actor. I mean, it doesn't matter about him personally.
He's great in this. But it's like, I watched this and I'm like, I don't hate this. There's a few times where I got emotional during some of the scenes in here. I mean, for what it is, I mean, there's a lot of like logistical questions of like, okay, it's like, okay, so everyone in this family that's related, because Santa's a saint, everyone who's related to him and all like spouses all become like immortal, but they never touch on the fact that they're immortal. Or that he's still like a piece of shit living in New York. He's still like a scam artist that's just not successful. Like, that part's hilarious.
Yeah. So, question. Did you like it in spite of Vince Vaughn, or did you actually enjoy Vince Vaughn's performance?
Oh, I enjoyed Vince Vaughn's performance. I like Vince Vaughn, but like, I've seen a couple of his comedies where it's like, not for me. But like this, like, I don't know, snappy dialogue, hilarious quips, and when it does need time to like be serious and get emotional, it works.
Yeah, I think Vince Vaughn is sneakily one of the most polarizing actors, like, working right now. If you ask anyone what they think of Vince Vaughn, like, everyone has an opinion. Like, everyone either thinks he's hilarious or they hate him. It's very interesting because, like, he doesn't get talked about that much, but if you ask anybody, like, everyone has an opinion on him.
Everyone has an opinion on Vince Vaughn.
I'm generally favorable. I like most of his stuff, but I do also acknowledge that, like, he's Vince Vaughn in every movie. So, like, you have to be in the mood to, like, okay, I want to watch a Vince Vaughn movie in order to enjoy the movie because he's him in everything.
That's true.
He's the same person in this, Wedding Crashers, like anything else that he's going to be in, he's Vince Vaughn. With that being said, I did enjoy him in this one. I think him and Paul Giamatti play off each other just terrifically.
What's happening? What do you mean? Okay. Oh, you're right.
Their chemistry with each other as these brothers, Paul just like being the younger brother that is seen better by his family but still desperately wants that approval from his older brother of Vince Vaughn, Fred Claus, and Vince Vaughn kind of living his whole life, even though he's the older brother, in the shadow of Santa Claus. No Christmas comedy, though, needs to be 2 hours. And we complimented the last two films for the runtime, so we kind of have to talk about it with this.
Yes, this one was, what, an hour 50?
Hour 50 plus, yeah. It was about 2 hours.
Yeah, you started to feel it in some parts. Just really odd. Because a lot of the stuff is just scenes that just, like, okay, the opening scene is great. Like, okay, great establishment.
With them as kids?
Yeah.
All of that's great, yeah.
Yeah, great establishment.
Don't you look nice?
Nicholas managed to make his parents prouder.
There's like little scenes where like Vince gets in a fight with like the street Santas.
Yeah.
All that. It's like I like the scenes where it's like he's constantly reminded of his brother. He's like, Santa's, he's not all that, all right?
I can appreciate on one hand that like everything this movie does, it wants to give time to. Like, it doesn't want to throw anything in for one or two scenes. Mm-hmm. So like every story that they have in here, there's dedicated a lot of screen time to. So we get a lot of them as kids in the beginning, a lot of him in New York and his relationship problems.
No, listen to me.
I am through with this relationship.
I'm not.
Freddie, I can't take it anymore.
I'm not through with this.
A lot of Paul Giamatti's issues and his stuff, a lot of the Kevin Spacey stuff, a lot of the family drama, and it just starts to become like a lot, and that's how we end up with a 2 hour movie.
That's true.
Some of the stuff I feel like could have been probably cut out. Like, did we need the romance angle between Elizabeth Banks and the elf?
Charlene's as good with numbers as she is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Willie.
Willie!
Yeah.
The dance number with Ludacris. Did we need that?
Yeah, that like that. I guess the thing with Willie pays off that she finally says his name. Like, it's like a little, but I don't know, it was a bit much. And it's weird because it's obviously a regular person's side's head.
with the bad CGI.
Yeah, CGI. That was super because they had actual little people in the movie.
Yeah, all of them except Willie and Ludacris.
Yeah, it's so super distracting. Vince Vaughn is a great scene where it's like, Santa, there are no naughty kids.
They're all good kids. But some of them are scared, and some of them don't feel listened to. But every kid deserves a present on Christmas.
Just like misguided, and like I started to get emotional during that because this whole naughty and nice thing, because you know what these kids are going through. So him saying like there are no naughty kids.
Yeah.
Because Santa's been praised as like the greatest of all time, so him having that realization, like, oh, I haven't been great, you know.
If Santa exists and you're out there, then yes, this lesson is really good about there's no naughty or nice. But if Santa doesn't exist and, you know, who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, it is a nice message, but it's just like, it's always interesting to me when like they have these messages in Christmas movies that like can't apply to real life. So it's like, oh, that's a nice message for this fictional world you've set up. But it's like, I can't really apply that to my everyday. I guess just like give kids a break, I guess is the overall message.
Yeah, it's like, you know what kids are going through. But here's my theory. The whole naughty or nice thing is just to prepare, or just like the step before religion, where it's like, oh, be good or you're going to hell.
It's all the same.
It's an excuse to keep people in line. That's it.
They're all professionals, so they're all going to do their job, but like this is a paycheck movie for everyone in this. You know what I mean? Like the studio got this script from someone, and kudos to whoever made this movie, produced it. I'm not sure, but they got like a pretty good name for almost every character. So,
and for what they did pretty good with what they had. It's like Jingle All the Way was like paycheck. Just a paycheck film,
yeah,
but there's good stuff in this. I feel like
it's a good script. I think that's the underlying like why I liked it. Like it's a good script. It's just weird. It's like a 2-hour weird Christmas movie that like isn't for kids because there's like sexual references and a little bit of language and stuff. But then it's like not for adults because there's like the cringe Christmas stuff in there too. It's kind of like, who is this for? You know, it's like, and I think that's why people didn't really like it when it came out. It's because it's like, who's the audience for this? And I think the answer is no one. But like, I kind of, but it's like, I kind of,
for no one.
It's like, it's not for anyone in particular, but it's like, I kind of respect that. It's like, they just made this odd Christmas movie. You know what I mean?
It's like, Vince Vaughn needs a movie. What do we got?
Would you recommend it?
Oh, I would absolutely recommend it, but I would not recommend CGIing people's faces on little people.
Let's just move away from CGIing anyone's face on anything.
Yes.
If you're not playing Thanos, it's not worth it. I think that's fair. I would also highly recommend this movie. Like I said, I'm mixed on it, but I love things that are just different, you know? And Christmas movies, I have a hot take I'll say later because just purely because I want your reaction to it. But Christmas movies, you know, when I go and watch Christmas movies every year, I don't want to watch the same ones every year. I watch like the same things every year. So Fred Claus just like offers something that is different. There is no other Fred Claus. You know, it's its own thing.
What was so refreshing about it. Like, this is brand new. This is so weird. Like, it's not trying to be the Santa Claus, you know, the Tim Allen one. It's just so odd, and that's what I liked about it. And the fact that there was, you know, goofy as hell type stuff with Paul Giamatti as Santa, whatever, but also some real emotional moments where I'm like, oh God, my heart.
Yeah, I think the beginning is honestly the most emotional. Like, they pull on your heartstrings right away when they're the kids, but it works. And
with the birdhouse?
So now we're gonna bring it inside the house and put presents under it. Isn't that wonderful?
And then later on, doesn't Santa get Fred a birdhouse?
Yeah, and he's like, sorry for chopping down your tree. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good writing. And also the scene where Paul Giamatti gets pissed and they have the snowball fight, and like we both have brothers, and it's like I felt like it perfectly encapsulated the like you love your brother, but sometimes they like make you so angry.
Nick, I couldn't miss you by trying. I couldn't miss you by trying. You're so fast. You slow like a girl.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Please go see it. Oh, what do we got? What could it be? What could it be? Gremlins 1 and 2? Are we talking about Gremlins 2 as well?
Nope, just Gremlins.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Possibly the most successful or most loved, most commercially accepted B movie ever made. And I think it's a masterpiece. I rewatched it for this. I used to watch it all the time growing up, and rewatching, I'm like, this is so goddamn good.
Yeah, I watched both movies as a kid at my grandparents' house, so I only had very vague memories. Like I know what happens, I get the point. But this is my first time rewatching as an adult, and yeah, it's very damn good. It's I think like an hour 45, hour 40 in there, so good length, not too long. And all the humor lands. The story's very unique, obviously, and interesting. But my favorite part is that if this was made today, it'd be all fucking CGI. Thank God it was made in the 80s, because the practicals are amazing.
Yes, and I would consider this a filmmaker's movie. From puppets to reverse shots to, stop motion. It's amazing. And you know what? You don't see an actual gremlin until like 48 minutes into the movie. Isn't that great? It's called, like, what a B-movie type thing. Like, not show your monster until way later in the film. And when they do, it's such a great payoff. One of my favorite scenes is when Billy goes to see the teacher. It's like, oh no, they hatched. And it's like, oh, he has like he has the syringe in his ass, and he's like dead underneath the table. And he's like, oh God, because he thinks the one's like underneath the cabinet. So he runs into the other room. He leans up against the cabinet, and the one over here opens, and you see it for a second. It's like, oh shit! And then Billy runs to the other side, and then like the camera does like a swoop down shot, and you just hear, and then it just shows the vent, and it's like, that's great. We didn't need to see him run, but in our minds, like as a kid, he ran through there. You know what I mean? It's like little trick stuff like that. It's like it's not about what you see. It's about what they show that makes you think that happened.
Yeah, it's interesting because you'd think when Jaws came out, everyone would have learned. Like, in Jaws, everyone famously knows, like, the shark's not in it that much because they had so many technical problems with it. But it turns out that everyone loves it, and it's so great in part because the shark is barely in it and barely shown. And when it is shown, it means something. And everyone always talks about that, yet Hollywood doesn't seem to ever remember that with any movie, and it's the same thing in this one. I'm guessing part of it was that they couldn't have these practicals do whatever they want. So in a lot of the scenes, you'd see the gremlin for a moment, and then it would run away or it would, do something and hide from the screen, and it was excellent. And then they didn't have to be on screen all the time, so that in the third act, once they were, it was like, oh, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, like taking its time, building the world, building the scene. It's like just the warm Christmassy feeling of the beginning is so great. I mean, besides like the dad at the Asian, the Chinatown shop
where he finds him.
Yeah. That scene's okay, but like just like the opening scene with like the billboard of the Rockin' Ricky Rialto, which is like Indiana Jones, Steven Spielberg giving himself a, oh look at that. There's a lot of weird references like that in this film. Like there's an E.T. somewhere, like in the toy store. But yeah, just like all that stuff, the slow build, just learning about these people. It just feels like a Christmas movie. And then it turns into a monster film.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, that is, and that's one of the things I didn't even remember that it was a Christmas movie from watching it in my childhood. And I'm sure I probably also mixed up like 1 and 2. I didn't even know like what happened in what movie. But all the scenes with Gizmo were just like so cute. And like the scene after what's his name, Billy?
Billy, yeah.
After Billy gets him and he's like playing the little piano with him, I'm like, this is amazing. Like if this existed in real life, like, I would take the risk because it's just, like, so cute. Great design of the creature, for sure.
Oh, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I just love how everyone's, like, okay with it. Like, when little Corey Feldman comes over, it's like, oh, I got to show you my new pet. It's like, this thing's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, and, like, right after that, like, they spill water on it and it multiplies, and Corey Feldman's like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like no one's fazed by this.
No one treats it like a new discovered creature. Like the dad brings it home and tells him the rules, and no one is like, what the hell is this thing? Like they all just accept it. Even when he brings it to the science teacher?
Yeah, the science teacher.
He's like, oh, I'll run tests on it. Not like alerting the government or anything.
That this brand new species or this hidden species that's been like kept secret by this man in Chinatown.
Yeah, and it's clearly sentient and can understand humans and like responds. Yeah.
It says words, but you talk about cute scenes. My favorite one is like after like the 5 more multiply out of Gizmo, and they're just hanging out in Billy's room, and like Gizmo is just reading comics with like the 3D glasses. It's like pretty cool, huh? He's like, cool, having fun. fun. It's like, that's the most cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's amazing. To me, though, I think one scene in this film stands above the rest of it, and that is the scene with the mom.
Yes,
and all
the
the
mom's,
Gremlins. Yeah.
where it turns into the mom's movie.
Yeah,
it
she
turns
just kicks ass.
Yes. That scene, like, it also scared me as a child. Like, it's the most perfect setup scene where, like, well, we see the scene of, like, the cocoons hatching. The music, the smoke, it's freaking amazing.
And then we get to see just some awesome kills of these gremlins. When she turns on the blender for one of them, puts one in the microwave, stabs one of them, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. I noticed this, too. She stabs one, and then when she pulls out 2 knives, like, ready to go. But in the background, you can still see that stabbed gremlin, like, trembling in the back. I never noticed that before, where it's just like, It's so great.
Yeah, and then when she first kills the first one, I think is the blender, and when she turns it on, and it was just like green splat everywhere. I'm like, oh, this is badass. Yeah. So I love that scene, and then the climax of it with the one in the Christmas tree.
Oh, with the eyes, yeah.
Yeah, and it jumps at her and starts choking her with the Christmas lights. I thought she was gonna die. I'm like, oh my god! And then Billy comes and saves her with
with the setups and payoffs. Because every time they open and close the door, the sword falls, and so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it would have been great if it did fall this time, but that time it didn't. So when he closes the door, the sword's still there. He just goes and grabs it. I thought it would have been funny if it did fall, so he could like realize it fell and like, oh shit.
Only thing I didn't care for in the movie was the whole story that we parodied in the beginning of this video with the girlfriend character, where they bring it up one time when they're like walking her home, and she's like, I just don't like Christmas, okay? And it's like, okay, that's gonna come up later. But the way it comes up is just so out of nowhere and abrupt. Like the whole climax is going on, and then she's like, well, this is another reason to hate Christmas. What do you mean? And then she just goes into her whole exposition. I'm like, well, I knew we were going to find out, but this is a bit...
Yeah, it doesn't really pay off in any way.
Yeah.
I guess to show that thing,
crazy story.
Yeah, horrible. That's like horrible things can happen, but it's like even during that story, like Billy's not paying attention for the first half. Like he's looking around to make sure like nothing's in the bank. Speaking of things like set up and not paid off, like Judge Reinhold is in this film for 5 minutes because he's set up as like a douchebag, but then nothing happens with him later in the movie. He just disappears.
Yeah.
If we don't bring it up, someone might bring it up. But Star Trek star or B movie star Dick Miller's in this. Also a great scene of like just creating like tension where it's like they're following Stripe. Like Billy saves his mom, Stripe busts out the window and they're following him, and they go to he ends up at the YMCA trying to find him. Like cuts open his chest. He has this great like scar on his chest for the rest of the film, and then like he jumps into the pool, and just like so simple. Like they probably just put some fucking I don't know, like a reverse vacuum cleaner in there just to make and smoke machines. It's like because they've set up like, oh, they multiply with water, and then like just seeing him jump into the water, it's like, oh god, what into a pool? It's like what's gonna happen? It's like little stuff like that and then it leads to one of the best scenes of all time when they're in the bar. Where it just turns into a whack out comedy. It's been like all horror movie. It's like, with the scene with the mom, which is one of the best scenes ever, and then it leads into where they all like take human roles. Like one's like an 80s go-go dancer, and somehow they know how to play poker. They know what beer and cigarettes are. It's like so dumb. It's great.
Yeah, one scene I really liked was the movie theater scene where they're watching Snow White and you just see all the gremlins and they're like eating popcorn and shit.
Yeah, and like Billy like leans in. It's like they're watching Snow White and they love it.
Yeah. I also really liked the ending with the guy coming back and taking Gizmo back and being like, you're not ready. Because I was asking that myself. I'm like, this is just going to happen again eventually.
Yeah, and he says to Billy, one day you might be ready. And it's like, Gremlins 2, let's go. It's weird. It's like I wanted that emotional ending to be better, but it feels like any time Gizmo was with Billy, all he did was get hurt. I just needed a little more emotional connection between those two, I guess.
Yeah.
Like better bonding. Because I heard like the original thing was Gizmo was going to be Stripe. This is predating Baby Yoda. This is predating Baby everything. It started with Gizmo. Because there's a great line in Gizmo in Gremlins 2 where Mr. Clamp, like the Trump guy characters. I look at him, you know what I see? Little dolls with suction cups on his hands. It's like, I think the whole baby craze started with Gizmo.
Someone will bring up something.
Well, actually,
in '83. Yeah, I think this movie also falls into a genre of Christmas movie that I really enjoy and find fascinating, and that's Christmas movies that have no inclination or need to be a Christmas movie. They just happen during Christmas. And like, yeah, there are reasons this is a Christmas movie, like he gives Gizmo to him as a Christmas gift, but beyond that, this could take place at any time of the year. You know, it falls into that category of like Die Hard or Iron Man 3, where like it just happens to take place during Christmas. And you know, the movies we had talked about before this are all like, they have to be Christmas movies. And then the movies like this aren't. And I almost find it more special when movies like this are also Christmas movies because they don't need to be. And as someone who loves Christmas, I love that it's just like a background feature of it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of Christmas movies to talk about for this episode. I'm like, and then I remembered like, oh my God, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Like it didn't even register. It's like, oh yeah, it is. Yeah. It takes place at Christmas. Isn't that great?
And then luckily, Santa gave it to us.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
I think we obviously both recommend Gremlins, right?
Oh, yes. I would recommend Gremlins very much so. It is a masterpiece. It's an anomaly. I mean, I think I'm still saying it wrong.
All right, Alex. This is the last one we got. But this one actually does say who it's from. It's from the patrons.
Oh, really?
So let's both open this one.
What do they get for us?
It's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
For real space-age fun, you'll be out of this world when Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
So, like with many other audience cut videos, the patrons decided a movie for us to watch this time, and we watched Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and our full-on cut reaction to that is on our Patreon for our patrons to watch along with us. But let's talk about it briefly here. And I say briefly because how the hell do you talk about this movie?
Well, it was a laugh riot. We had a good time watching it, but as in terms of plot and things to discuss, I'm drawing a blank. It's just a bunch of scenes that happen involving Santa Claus, and he just goes along with it. And the resolution feels like, how was it even resolved?
All the kids just like beat up Voldar with toys.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Martians just like accepted Christmas as a cultural thing.
Yeah, I guess performance of the week goes to Voldar and the other main Martian for giving like a stellar, convincing, believable performance despite wearing these horrible costumes.
Must we always come crawling to that doddering old man?
Cho-Cham is 800 years old. You can't dismiss the wisdom of centuries.
Yeah, Vincent Beck as Voldar was oddly good and like very funny.
Who's in the airlock? No one. Now.
Can we just marvel at the fact that this DVD even exists? Like, the fact that this footage of this TV movie was made and you can get now on physical release is pretty wild. The quality was absolute shit.
Oh, yeah. No subtitles. Horrible audio quality. Couldn't hear a damn thing that was happening unless a character was this far away from the camera.
I'm pretty sure it's someone's VHS recording.
Yeah.
I put onto this.
And it's like, it's so classic where it's just one file where like after that ends there's 3 hours of other stuff that happens right after. Like there's no scene selection for
Rudolph started after.
Yeah, just awful.
I really liked the big robot scene, which, oh my God, I forgot to bring up. Robbie the Robot was in Gremlins.
What do you mean he was in the Oh wait, with the dad?
Yeah, when he's on the phone.
He's behind him.
That's Robbie the Robot.
With the cow. Oh my God,
that was insane.
Holy shit.
So yeah, we had a good time watching it. There's just unfortunately not really much to say, but our patrons voted for it, so we watched it, but part of the audience cut is to discuss it as well, and we just don't have much to say about it. It's a ridiculous 80-minute catastrophe with some funny moments.
Opens up with like news footage of Santa's workshop, but it's not like a work. It'd be funny if it was a work where like similar to Galaxy Quest, where like the Martians think that Santa's real based off this news footage. But no, that's actual news footage of the real life Santa.
I liked how much of a shoot it was though in this movie about how the whole world has just accepted Santa exists. And then when Martians get introduced, they also just kind of accept that. Like no one on Earth is like frightened or surprised by anything in this movie.
And when Santa gets abducted, they send all their military assets to try to retrieve him, and they never get to him. Like they send like a rocket, but like by the time the rocket gets there, the movie's over.
Yeah, that's pretty great. The Martians abduct 2 kids who don't really add anything to the movie. They're just there. The best scene has to be the Martian dressing up as Santa, and all the Martians just believe it's Santa, and then him switching the light bulbs, which leads to nothing.
Which leads, oh, the light bulbs are switched, or like. Oh, he just immediately recognizes it. What was the point?
What's the point?
Why did he switch? The guy immediately recognized, like, oh, was that to slow him down? Like, oh, I can't have these light bulbs be wrong at this moment. Despite Santa Claus escaping, I gotta make sure that these light bulbs are in order.
Oh my God. I think that's all we got to say.
You got anything else?
No. I would not recommend this movie.
I would not either. It's just events happen to Santa Claus. That's it. With a couple good performances by Voldar and the other dude. Kids are whatever. There's a hilarious, stupid practical set of a polar bear.
Oh yeah, the polar bear suit. And then the robot comes, and I desperately wanted the robot to fight the polar bear, but it doesn't happen.
Well, that doesn't happen.
But we still thank the patrons anyway.
If our entire reaction and some other thoughts are there that are probably in the moment, some hilarious conversations going on there.
For the last 3 years, so this being the 3rd year, around Christmas time, I have watched Christmas Vacation, and I think it's a very well-made film, very funny. Not for me.
Really?
Yeah, not for me.
That's your hot take.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Let me go hit the record button. Okay. I've seen it a bunch of times, but I'm just wondering why.
It's just kind of boring. And I get that that's the point, but at the same time, I like Vacation a lot more. And I feel like most people like Christmas Vacation more. Maybe that's just anecdotal. I don't know if that's the truth, but I feel like everyone always talks about Christmas Vacation more than Vacation. It's like a classic Christmas movie. And there's a lot of stuff I laugh at. Like, there's definitely funny moments, and like Chevy Chase is hilarious, obviously. But I like the bits in Vacation more, I feel like. And even taking the comparison aside, I mean, I just like, it's just kind of boring. Like, I don't know. It doesn't suck me in. I don't, it's like, my favorite line in the movie is the son talking to the mom. It's either the son or the daughter, but the mom says something along the lines of like, "It's Christmas, we're all miserable." and it's like, I don't want to feel like that while watching a Christmas movie. It's like, I'll deal with that in my real life,
Huh. Yeah, maybe I'm just remembering the highlights, but yeah, I'll have to rewatch.
Yeah, give it a rewatch and let me know what you think. I mean, it's only like 90 minutes, 100 minutes, somewhere in there. It's not like it's a super long film or anything. But yeah, I'd like to know what you think of it, because like nothing about it is bad. I just feel like it's one of those where I'm just like, yeah, I've watched it now 3 years in a row, and each time I keep thinking like maybe I'll get it, and it's kind of just like, oh yeah, this is kind of funny, but I don't know, maybe it's like too absurd to the point where like nothing matters in the movie because it's all so absurd that like I can't buy into anything.
It's so absurd that you think it's boring?
Like, yeah, it's like, who cares? Like, okay, like, for example, the scene where he sleds, and then he, like, flies off the mountain and all that stuff, and he's like, all the shit, and then it just cuts it. Like, every scene is like an SNL bit, just, like, strung together, which I get it, like, Chevy Chase is from SNL, right? But, so I get it, but and National Lampoon, to an extent, is kind of like that as well. But, like, I think, for example, Airplane is a much better movie.
Oh, God, can you imagine Vacation as an airplane movie? Where it's like every... Like, yeah, that's like...
But they have a lot of airplane-like bits, in the Vacation movies. But yeah, for some reason, Christmas Vacation, I just feel like after watching it so many times, I can confidently say, like, yeah, this is a well-made, funny movie, but it's just not for me. So, yeah, maybe rewatch that one this Christmas season if you still have time, and then let me know what you think about it.
I might have to. Well, that was great, but can I get back to telling you about my dad and Christmas?
No, thank you. But thank you guys for joining us here, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas from Target Audience.